Okay, Priscilla and Ray, Chapter 1. Girl Meets Boy. Presumed conservative at first glance to a world of blurred faces chasing dreams was a 25-year-old mahogany beauty chasing dreams of her own. Staying productive is what kept her focused and out of trouble. She had achieved an existence of normalcy and stability upon meeting him. Life was going so well it seemed surreal to the reformed wild child used to breaking rules in boys' hearts. She lived virtuous and happily engaged to her boyfriend and common-law husband of 6 years, Marvin. Marvin had just gotten hired for a retail job at a consignment store in the franchise shopping center all the way on the east side of the city. She was happy for him because his unemployment ran out and he was looking for work. She was a part-time student pursuing her nursing degree at the community college downtown. And she was smarter than she gave herself credit for, having made the dean's list with a 4.0 GPA 3 consecutive semesters. Still, something was missing in her life. What was missing would drive by in an old-fashioned silver Cadillac Coupe de Ville on one cold, snowy February afternoon. She was headed home from school when he saw her cross the street and pulled over to the side of the road, parked and waited. Caught off guard, she tried not to show it as she walked over to his car, leaving the shy girl behind at the snowy curb. He opened his door and introduced himself as Ray. He wore a green and brown camouflage hoodie and a fitted black cap of their city's nickname embroidered across the front. The flirtatious seductress told him her name was Priscilla. Her true identity wasn't important because she didn't know yet if he was. When Ray asked her for her phone number, she was quite hesitant. "So, do you smoke weed? I'm always looking for new connects," Priscilla asked as she stood outside his car door's window, shivering. "You can get in if you want to," he said, while moving a red gas can from his passenger seat onto the back floor. Priscilla got in the car against her better judgment to entertain his proposal. "You look good." Priscilla smiled at the sound of flattery but wasn't impressed. He reached into his pant pocket and pulled out a tiny sealed bag of weed, then handed it to her with his dark brown tiny hand. She took off her gloves and opened the bag to smell its quality. It was decent and gave off a faint odor. "I just got it," he said. Ray purposely avoided eye contact while they talked in an attempt to appear nonchalant. As they sat there as strangers, Priscilla felt chemistry or something like it happening. "I got my own apartment over by the mall on the north side if you want to chill sometime," he boasted. "You do?" He nodded his head yes. "Well, I'll give you my Facebook page if you've got one," Priscilla said, not wanting to give him her number just yet. Ray pulled an Obama phone out of his hooded sweater and went on Facebook. "This you?" he asked, looking at her profile picture with a devilish smile. "Yeah, I know. It's not my best pick, but that's me," Priscilla shyly said. Then Ray befriended her. After a little more small talk, she told him that she had to get going. So she got out of his car and strutted into the distance, trying with all her willpower not to look back. And when she did, he was gone. Ray was 7 years her senior, but looked young for his age. Priscilla was around 5'3" inches. Ray wasn't much taller than that. He had a mustache lightly growing in, and his facial hair was groomed to precision. Priscilla had always been attracted to men with facial hair just because it represented masculinity to her. Ray appeared to be a man's man, bred from the wrong side of the tracks. He was a bad boy who executed his perfected manipulative tactics as charm that solidified the reason why Priscilla wanted to know more about him. Unlike the rest of the unfortunate souls who approached her on and off, Ray made her want to tread the path of danger and unpredictability with him. She was looking for something unwarranted of emotional attachment, and she thought of him as a candidate who could fulfill her needs. That evening, she went home to an empty two-bedroom apartment she shared with Marvin and grabbed her glittery decal laptop in the bedroom, and went online to accept Ray's friend request. When she went to his page, she saw there were just a few photos of him. His main picture was of him accompanied with another guy holding a Corona beer. She assumed he was a close friend. Ray wrote vague, self-centered posts about smoking weed, and there were a few hip-hop songs linked from YouTube that he liked. On the rest of his wall were arrogant-minded statements followed by validating comments. But the unsettling part of it all was that Priscilla noticed his friends list was hidden. Was he hiding something, and what? She studied his profile closer, and after researching his recent and past postings, based on cyber interactions with the opposite sex, she knew he had a lot of female friends. That was all she needed to know to certify him a playboy. Knowing he was no good for her should have stopped her from wanting to see him again, but it only reinforced that attraction. So far, they only exchanged friendly messages via the internet. Although Ray rarely initiated contact. February 14th, during an online conversation, Ray messaged her, "Happy Valentine's Day." Priscilla thought it was sweet. With every nice word he typed back, she would downplay his playboy facade. The specific Facebook conversation leading to their next hookup, she text messaged him, "I don't give head." The conversation never turned sexual. She just didn't want him to be in the dark about any unset expectations on her part. "I respect that," he replied, which further aroused her curiosity about him. It had been maybe a week or so later before they would see each other again. Eventually, they exchanged phone numbers and set up a time and date to meet. Priscilla decided to have him pick her up at Lucky's, an Arabian family-owned party store on the south side where she lived, just 5 minutes away from. The south side was very hood. Fucked up roads, sardine close-packed styled housing, and niggas galore. The side of the town where litter, pit bulls, and loitering police cars were as common as income earners of over $150,000 drinking luxury cognac from diamond-encrusted glassware on the east side. Priscilla lived with Marvin in a 3-story apartment building among several apartments that lined Garvey Boulevard. She had to be precautious. Better to be an enigma than tomorrow's rumor. The time was 1 p.m., and while Marvin was off at work, Priscilla had free time to see Ray. 10 minutes after talking with him on the phone, she headed up the street and waited for him to arrive. Anxiously, she walked past bus stops, the dollar store, and the Admiral gas station at the intersection of Garvey Boulevard and Cleveland Street. "How are you doing today, pretty lady?" an older black man who walked by her asked. "I'm doing good," she replied, smiling. Priscilla wore black spandex leggings, thigh-high brown 9 West winter boots, and a long-sleeved black peplum-style jacket. Her eye makeup and eyelashes were applied flawlessly, and her 16-inch jet black Brazilian hair extensions could be seen flowing in the direction of the breeze by all the thirsty men who drove by and honked. Priscilla was the prettiest sinner with the heart of a saint, but she loathed all the attention, even though her appearance advertised otherwise. In the parking lot of Admiral, as she walked towards Lucky's party store, there were 2 young African boys who drove up on her and asked if she wanted to go home with them. Priscilla kept walking. 20 minutes later, still no Ray. She wondered if he was going to show. When she walked into Lucky's, Ray called. "Hello? Where you at? I've been waiting on you for 30 minutes, she says. She answered the phone. "I'm outside," he said. "I'm in the store right now. I was gonna buy me some liquor and gonna head back to the house because I thought you were on some bullshit. Come outside. Here I come." Priscilla walked outside without having purchased anything, and there was Ray parked in the front with the motor running. She opened the passenger's door, got in, and he drove off. The dome light on the roof of his car dangled in the middle of them from red and black wires while he drove. Ray was listening to music on his CD player through 16 by 24-inch speakers propped up on the back seat. The music kept skipping because he recklessly sped over every shallow crack and pothole on the icy asphalt eroded by the cruel winter. "Who is this?" Priscilla asked him. "Gucci man." He in prison, ain't he? He in prison right now." "Yep. They say some nigga in there licked the ice cream cone on his face, and Gucci killed him." The 20-minute ride consisted of narrow backways and side streets foreign to her. Ray drove by the mall further into the north side, past a low-key suburban neighborhood where the houses looked like miniature mansions. The scenery reminded her of something out of a Better Home and Gardens magazine. She didn't expect him to live in a predominantly white neighborhood, in a predominantly white area. Ray turned onto Mortensen Drive, a side street that led them through an apartment complex of identical buildings, grassy fields, and a playground. Then he made a right at the corner of Prospect Lane that turned into a circular parking lot in the front of his apartment. Ray explained that a bunch of low-income single moms and dope boys lived in his section of the complex, and the buildings in the front were reserved for senior citizens and individuals with disabilities. He said his landlord was lax on rent, and it was set up something like Section 8 housing, where rent goes by a tenant's income. When Priscilla and Ray walked in his apartment, loud rap music was coming from 2 extra-large home stereo speakers in the corner of the poorly furnished living room. There were thugs all around, and this guy who was either inebriated or mentally slow stumbled into her. Priscilla felt like bait in a bowl of piranhas. She was way out of her comfort zone. Ray suggested that she have a seat, and she sat down in a 1970s fashioned armchair by the table in the living room. She didn't know if she wanted to see him again. Ray reached over her and grabbed a fat blunt from a tall, scruffy-faced guy with dreads who was drinking clear liquor from its container. Priscilla searched her purse desperately in need of a cigarette to calm her nerves, shuffling around lipstick lids, eyeliners, wrinkled receipts, and loose change. The one she found was broken. She did her best to salvage it by fitting the filtered side back to the tobacco rod part. "I like that," Ray said, watching her. "Boy, I've been doing this for years." "That's gangster," he smiled. 3 drags in, Priscilla was relaxed. The guy with dreads turned the music down some, but it was barely enough to have made a difference. "You want to hit this?" Ray said, but she declined. Priscilla never liked to get high around new people and new surroundings. It wasn't even moments later when the guy who stumbled into her earlier came back over. "I'm James. What's your name?" He slurred each word. "I'm Priscilla." Then James invaded her personal space to shake hands. James had mistaken her friendly smile and hard-to-get mannerisms as an invitation to Mac to her, but she tuned him out while watching Ray talking to the guy with dreads. "Man, he dumb as hell," she heard Ray saying. He was complaining to the guy with dreads about someone named Sean. Then the guy with dreads went into the bedroom in the back, and came out holding a hand of an adorable little black girl with afro-puffed pigtails, rubbing her eyes. Ray looked at her and told her they were going into the room to be alone. When they went into the bedroom, Priscilla sat down on the king-size bed. Ray stayed standing. So that was just a little bit of chapter 1. I hope you guys enjoyed that. You can read the entire book right now between now to December 5th free at Amazon, KINDLE.Amazon.com. You go to the book. Please leave me reviews, comments. Feedback is great. Thank you. You guys have a good day. Bye.